Okay, so let's talk about the properties of logs, and you're going to need these to write a log as 1, like if there's 2 logs and you need to put it as 1 to solve it. Okay, so the first one is the product property. What that says is that if I have the log of m times n, I can separate that to be log of base b of m plus log base b of n. So the key here is that the base doesn't change. Remember, it's all about that base. Don't change it. So it's all about the base. Leave it alone. All right, then I'm going to say this m plus the log of this n. So the product property, just like in exponents, guys, anytime you multiply, it goes with addition, okay? So if I'm multiplying two things, I can separate it out by adding them. So this is, what is the expanded form of log base 2 of 2x? Well, I'm going to make sure that when I expand it, my log has the same base. So it's going to be log base 2 of something plus, since they're being multiplied, log base 2 of the other thing. So here my two factors are 2 and an x, so that's log base 2 of 2 plus log base 2 of x. And that's it. That's the expanded form. We're just rewriting it. There's no equal sign. We're not solving. We just want to use our property, okay? So to go backwards here, if I have 2 logs, notice in the middle I see a plus sign. When you see that plus sign and both bases are the same, please make sure you check that, because if the bases are different, you cannot use these properties, okay? You either have to change them to be the same base or just don't use the properties. So the bases have to be the same. So if I'm adding them, that means that I can put them together by multiplying. So I will keep the 3 as my base, and then 4 times y is 4y. So that's the same thing as log base 3 of 4y. So that's your product property. Your quotient property is basically the same thing, but now we're just using the inverse operations. So instead of multiply, we're dividing, and instead of adding, we are subtracting. So division and subtraction go together the same way. So what's the expanded form of this? Again, I have to keep the same base, so that's going to be log base 2 of, and always do the top minus the bottom, okay? So your numerator minus the log of your denominator. So that's going to be log base 2 of y minus log base 2 of 3. And that's the expanded form of that, okay? Always m minus n, and that's why it's up there in your property that way too. So to go the other way, if I have log base b of 4 minus log base b of x, again, I don't even know what my base is here, but it's both b, so I can still use this property and write it as one log. I don't have to know what my base is. So I got log base b of 4 over x, and I'm dividing because this is a subtraction. So that'll tell you what to do to put it together into one. Our last property, it's a pretty useful property actually, is our power property. Power property tells you what to do with numbers that are in the front. So if we have coefficients in the front, they actually just become exponents. Okay, or if I have an exponent, I can bring it around to the front, and it's the same thing. So this is, what is the expanded form of log base 4 of x to the third? Well, this exponent right here, since the entire of number is being raised to that, I can just bring it around to the front and make it a coefficient. So that's the same thing as saying 3 times the log base 4 of just x. So that's a great way to get rid of some exponents and really simplify your problem. All right, here I'm combining the two. Now, you do kind of need to do these properties in an order, and your power property is always going to be first. So if you see any coefficients, before you put anything together, you're going to want to put that back as an exponent. So this is actually now log base 3 of x to the 5th power plus log base 3 of y. And when I put that together, look in the middle, we are adding, so that means I'm going to multiply them. So that's log base 3 of x to the 5th times y, and that's my single log, okay? So again, if I were to go backwards, remember you're just going backwards with all the properties. So we would start by separating this into plus, and then we would move the 5 to the front, okay? So those are your 3 main properties you're going to be using to solve when you go into Edgenuity. Now the solving one is pretty good, but if y'all need some help, let me know and I can make a video for that too.